So welcome to the first, I guess, real video on this YouTube channel, and the first real discussion and dialogue that I wanted to open up and really explore kind of what I've been working on the past year. Because if you were following along on YouTube exclusively and watching the PD Exposures YouTube channel, you've noticed that there's been no content published, both from the podcast perspective, from like a film photography news perspective, or on the YouTube channel, obviously. And there are a couple of different reasons for that. But as I discussed in kind of the introductory video here, it's really just kind of time to move on and figure out what's next. So I wanted to play a little bit of a catch-up game here and figure out and explain to you what I've kind of been up to. And the biggest thing that I can say overall is what's right next to me here, which is my magazine Seraph and Silver. And Seraph and Silver was kind of born out of this idea to figure out just how to get my work out there. The first issue was Polaroids. And I should say that actually, before we get too far, all of these, except for the most recent issue, which was called Sober Mesa, have sold out. There's no more copies left, but you can pick up issue 4, or if you wanted to learn more about it and see everything, you can buy this guy, which is the compendium. It's big. I lowered the price on it a little while ago, so you can buy it, and I'll include a link to where to pick it up in the description below. But the first issue, Seraph and Silver Polaroids, it's a collection of instant photographic prints from 2010 to 2015. And so when I was kind of putting this idea together, and I was really trying to figure out what it was that I wanted to do, I kept going back to this box of Polaroids I had. And within this box, there were images that I liked and images that I saw kind of put a story together. And so one day I threw them all out onto my table, and I just started compiling and pairing them together. And so that's really what this is. It's a collection of just images and what we can do with all of the images that we take on a regular basis as photographers. If you're anything like me, you grab your camera before you really go anywhere. And you might not take a whole bunch of photos throughout the day because maybe you're just going to grab breakfast with your spouse, or maybe you're just running down to the store, but you probably have a camera with you anyway, and you might snap one or two here or there. And what happens? Those photos, they might go on Instagram, they might go on social media, but really they probably just get archived in one way or another and then forgotten about. So this issue kind of explores what we do with all of those photos and how we make sure that they're really not forgotten, and really building a collection and a series of images out of photos that really just kind of comes out of nowhere. So that's the first issue. And I really had a great time doing it. There were 50 copies published, sold out really, really fast. And then we, 3 months later, published this guy, which was the second issue. It's called Artifacts, Past, Present, and the American Road Trip. And to be honest with you, despite there being 4 issues total, this is my favorite one. I really feel that not only was the work some of the better work that was in this series, but with each issue comes an introductory essay. And overall, this, I feel like the essay and the images tied in together the best. But to give you a quick overview, Artifacts was a road trip that my girlfriend and I, Jenny, we went on in June of last year. And we drove from Portland to kind of western Wyoming, saw the Tetons, saw Yellowstone, and then into central Wyoming. And it was a trip that both of us had taken a lot growing up as kids. I would go out there, we would go and explore the national parks with my family. A lot of her family comes from central Wyoming, and so they would go out there and visit grandma. And so we combined these two experiences really into one, and took it to the next generation. It was my family, and then it was her family, and now it's our family together. And Artifacts really explores that feeling as best you can, because while you can revisit all of these places, you can never really return to these prior times and experiences. And so how do you best interact with those moving forward? And so all of the images within Artifacts are pairs of images that go together and kind of transcend time and space, really, from different areas from different time periods within our vacations, and looking at how the images connect to one another on a grander scale, despite being separated by days and weeks and thousands of miles in some instances. And so that was Artifacts, and I really had a great time doing it. But for the third issue, I really wanted to take a different approach. And you can even see that just by the cover. Every other issue was a big full bleed image on the front, but this one, it's really encapsulated, and same for the back image as well. And so this is Unchanged, the moral order of negative space. And Unchanged kind of delineates what it is Seraphin Silver was talking about on a grander scale even more. So whereas issue 1 was really the collection as a whole, and issue 2 was the pair of images, issue 3, Unchanged, really looks at the continuing thread throughout all images. And it's one that's, I feel, is often ignored, and that's the negative space behind photographs themselves. And so it's broken up into 4 different smaller series that I've been working on throughout the years. And not all of them were necessarily complete. Not all of them had complete thought or a complete description. But compiled with one another, they worked out in such a way that I was able to tell a greater message through organic space, living space, emerging space, and then shared space. And I do want to share really quickly one of my. This is really one of my favorite little series in the entire publication. And I'd been working with a lot of Type 55 Polaroid film at the time, and because it was all expired, it didn't always give the best spread. And so I did a small series within this called Emerging Space, where you would see the transition and the image start to appear as almost as if it were a Polaroid. You get the image, you take the photo, and it starts to develop before your eyes. And so these really expanded upon that. And again, tied in through the overall thread of negative space within our images and how we utilize that. And then finally is this issue, which again, I do still have copies of this online at seraphinsilver.com, and it's called Sober Mesa, and it's on translating photography. And so where these first 3 issues, they really started to pare down from the collection to the pair to a singular thread. Sober Mesa looks at all of that and then photography as a whole and what we really leave behind. And if you're wondering what the title means, Sober Mesa is a Spanish term that there's really no direct English counterpart for. It's one of these untranslatable words that, some things you can translate, but others you really kind of just have to describe what the word means. And that's one of, Sober Mesa is one of those. And it's the conversation that occurs at the dinner table, kind of after everyone's done eating, maybe some of the plates have been cleaned up. But you haven't moved from the dinner table. You're still there, and you're still engaged in the same conversations you were that when you were eating. And so why you're sticking around and what those conversations mean and how that ties into photography as a whole. And really, it's how we as photographers use our experiences and use the images that we create to not only bring people a visual medium, but to bring them something and supply them with so much more than just what they can see, and through smell and sound and all of these other senses that we can activate within our imagery just by taking the right photo and presenting it in the right way. So that's all there is for Seraphin Silver. And then if you missed out on the chance to buy issues 1 through 3 and you're thinking about just buying 4, you can also buy the compendium, which includes the full editions of all 4 issues. It actually includes a couple extra images as well that I've thrown in, and it's in this awesome, super thick, it's 212 pages long compendium. Really, really great. I love how this came out. It's just so meaty, I guess, and that's available on seraphinsilver.com published through Blurb. And I'll do another video here in the near future that talks about my experiences publishing this magazine overall, kind of what I did, how I set it up, and what you can do also if you're looking to do something like this on your own, because getting your work printed is really, really the most important thing. And so with that, wanted to wrap it up for this video. I'll see you again soon. As always, please subscribe to this channel. My social media links are below. Follow me on Instagram and on Twitter, and let's keep this conversation going. Until next time.